Today we're going to talk about how furniture is upholstered. So, except for the visible feet or some decorative touches in the construction, most everything that we have in upholstered furniture is hidden. So that's what we talked about in the last video, is that under quality construction. So when we see those wide variations in prices and value, it exists seemingly identical pieces. They're different in the workmanship and the materials that are used. So finer upholstered furniture is made up of springs and feathers and down, and the construction with layers of padding and foam, which makes it comfortable. So when we look at the anatomy of a chair, we have the base. Naturally, we have the construction, and then it's covered with 2 to 3/4 inch webbing stretchers across the front and the seat in the back to hold the internal structure. And then there are different types of springs that are used. Either they're sewn in 8-way hand tied, which are standard, or machine attached with clips, which is a new technology, or more coils and deeper springs, the better the seat. The upper edge, the coils are the first row and extend over the seat rail, and the wires of the wooden strip to the rows below. There's a layer of burlap or other types of material that's stretched over the springs and attached to the frame. The better grades of furniture, the tips of the springs are sewn to the burlap. This keeps them from poking through and wearing down. There's padding, which is added for softness. It's commonly cotton or cotton product, foam, or man-made synthetic fibers or polyfibers. It's then covered with another layer of cotton and inserted to keep the filling from coming through. Then the upholster, the decorative part over the piece, and sometimes there's welching on finer pieces. It's a dressmaker's detail that add to a finishing touch. Sometimes these are in contrasting colors, sometimes they're the same color. Not all pieces have welting. Now there's two primary types of spring systems that are used in the construction of furniture. There's the 8-way hand-tied and sinuous springs. The 8-way hand-tied is used in better quality pieces and often considered the sign of quality. And that's what your customers sometimes are going to ask what type of construction or springs are in there is 3-way or 8-way hand-tied. They're considered a 3-dimensional coil system, and they spread over the entire section of the seating. So as you can see, we have length, width, and depth. Now you can see why it's called an 8-way hand-tied. Each one of these are tied to the next system. Now historically, these have been done by human hand. There's someone in there, and that's their job. They sit with this string or this jute, and they're quite literally tying these sections in. Now consistency is not there, because we all know that when you're working from 9 to 5, you're not as sharp at 5 o'clock in the evening as you were in the afternoon or in the morning. You get tired. Some days you feel better than others. So the consistency in the 8-way hand tied on these are sometimes a little different because it's human error. So now we do the same type of 8-way. We still call it 8-way hand tied, but it's not hand tied anymore. It's machine clamped. They don't get tired. They work consistently from 9 to 5, 24/7, 365. They don't take union breaks. They don't get hungry. They don't get sick. So the consistency of these clamps are quite literally the same quality, if not better quality, than the hand-tied version. But when your customer asks, are they 8-way hand-tied, whether it's machine or done by hand, the answer is yes. There's no use in confusing them. And other types of springs that we have, I think it did skip one. We'll go back. The sinuous springs. These are considered a 2-dimensional or S-shaped wires that are fastened to the top and the front of the rail and run from the front to the back. Like you see here, they're little S shape that go from the front to the back. And a lot of times we see them in the back of the chairs as well. So as we've taken this piece apart, we see that they're in the bottom. They're clipped in the front, they're clipped in the back, and they are every few inches to give support. Now we'll go to this frame. Other types of spring systems that we see is on a grid system that is supported by springs. There's elastic webbing and matting that we see in some furnishings, and this is the only support system they may have depending on the piece. Sinuous springs, then the arch that all the way from the seat and up through the back. and then there's formed wires depending on the piece. So quite literally, when you're looking at your upholstered furniture, if you really don't know what's under there, pick the cushions up, lift them out, and you can literally feel what type of spring is back there. And then look at your client as well. What is going to best suit the need for them? Thank you.